Hello, welcome to another edition of the M.A.D.House. This is Ep.4. This time, I'm cutting in here before I get to the main discussion. Just notice after I record the main part of the podcast, I just wanted to announce a couple of things and tell you what this podcast is all about. This time, it's just me, and I wasn't planning on doing this topic necessarily. But I just felt it was from the first day I moved in, and for when this is going to be uploaded about 2 weeks ago, when I moved in my apartment, it's me kind of describing, the whole process and the perils that, I immediately got into. Talk about that for, I don't know, like 20 minutes. For the rest of the time, I talk about this idea of like kind of my relationship to enjoying the creative things that I enjoy, like the art that I enjoy, like wrestling and stuff, and how my preferences are kind of determined, and how that relates to kind of like a bigger idea of how expression through art is in our time. Now, it's not that sounds a lot more holistic than in the discussions of being, because I focus on one aspect, which is like the earnestness of what I consume, and the earnestness of not only it's being honest in what it is trying to portray, but also not trying to make things more important than what they are. Not trying to always, not being pretentious, basically, but I don't mean that in any vague way. Obviously, I go way more in depth about how I feel. It might be a little bit of something that you don't think about, but I heard something from a podcast, and it really, I thought it was an insightful idea, and I kind of delved into it a little bit more, and hopefully get kind of what I'm saying. I might revisit that, my conclusions later on down the line, but yeah, it was kind of a rambly podcast, and that's fine. That's kind of what podcasts are. I just want to be effective background noise, So, and if this background noise can make you think a little bit or reflect, even for 5 seconds, well, goddamn, I think I did a pretty okay job. So, hope you enjoyed that. But I do have an announcement. As you're going to see in the background, I have some footage here, some gameplay footage, and it is from the matches that I recorded for the first episode of UWL. Now, I came to a conclusion. I kept delaying the first episode of UWL because it was taking forever for me to edit it and combine with like all the work I have to do for school and moving in. It's got moving back, and I realized that every episode is going to take a while to edit. The last time it took me a while to edit because my computer sucked and it kept freezing. Now it's just that it's so much footage, and trying to be a little bit more ambitious, trying to make sure the editing and the production value is a little more, I don't know, cohesive, professional. But what I realized in recording it as well is that I'm not very good at commentating on wrestling matches. It doesn't feel, I don't know, I'm not feeling my commentary. I'm certainly not as good as that, as maybe I'm good at commentating over just normal gameplay of me playing a game. I don't know. It's that was for you to decide, but I ended up deciding yesterday that I can't really go forward and do all the videos I want to do this year. Really, like doing this at the same time. It just takes too much time to do, and I want to do 2 episodes a week and 9 episodes a month, basically. I'm not going to be able to do that at that rate and still do all the other stuff and still, expand my horizons in terms of my personal life and trying to do all these extracurricular and political things. So some had to give, and I decided for it to be UWL. So that UWL is canceled. Maybe one day I could revisit it when I have, I don't know, more stable situation where I could have more time to work on personal projects. But I don't think that'll be anytime soon. And honestly, I just don't have the time to do it. So everything else is kind of on track. I'm almost finished writing Sonic Generation review and all this different things, and I'm getting down to preparing for the Pokemon Gold and Silver stuff, and yeah, everything else for this year that was planned is still gonna go on. All the reviews, and I'm looking to reform this podcast, make it make it better in different ways. I want to make sure that I'm clear that not every episode is going to be just obviously so far it hasn't been gaming this year, but I'm gonna get back to that a little bit. But I want to vacillate between gaming and politics because those two things, gaming, politics, and sometimes wrestling. But those are things that are interesting to me, and I think to y'all, people who listen, you obviously have an interest in games. But I know some of y'all have maybe not be super enmeshed into political news and ideas and stuff like that, but may find my take on it interesting, or my analysis or my guest analysis interesting, because it is intertwined into gaming. Like today, I read an article about how the NHS is trying to ban, just like in America, trying to ban like games with predatory loot box systems and trying to make people be more transparent with the loot boxes. Same reforms that have happened in the U.S. They're trying to do in the UK. Politics, gaming, everything relating to pop culture. It's all intertwined. So I don't feel kind of weird doing gaming and politics, either between episodes or within episodes themselves. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Let's go on to the podcast where I ramble, and every 5 minutes the fire alarm beeps. I fixed that since then, but for now you have to deal with that. But hopefully you enjoy. So without further ado, watch the UWL gameplay and listen to me ramble. Welcome back to the M.A.D.House. This time I'm recording this Friday, let's say the 10th, about 10 days, 9 days before this is being published. And why am I recording things in advance? I think the last episode my mom recorded about 2 weeks in advance. And the way I'm thinking, it's that anytime, disillusionment, disappointment, depression is always around the corner. You can always hit that wall and you should fuck it, I don't feel like doing anything. And I kind of feel like doing something right now because fuck it. Today was a important day. It was the day I moved in to this apartment. It's kind of on campus, kind of off campus. It's I'm guessing most of y'all, if not all y'all, are in or just recently left college, know anything about that experience. And if you live in the dorm on the campus, there's certain perks. Like when I was in UL and I lived in those dorms, I got internet. I had wireless and Ethernet if I wanted to game. I just had all this bullshit. I really can't list. So that's all I really cared about was having the internet. Main crux of this though, well, they had the other benefit of having someone clean the bathroom every couple of days. I think they have that here with the main dorms. But when you're on/off campus in these apartments, it has all the perks. It has all the downfalls of not being on campus, and all the downfalls of having your own independent apartment. You can't get any of the perks of being on campus. No one comes in to clean your bathroom, which I'm not super mad at, but I am kind of mad at because I came in today. I was cut to the chase. So I'm recording this right after, I say, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, I don't even know what I was doing. I think I was in the bed, just staring at the wall, as I do. It's very entertaining, counting the popcorn on the ceiling. And I hear knock on my door, and I'm like, who wants me at this ungodly hour of 7 o'clock? So it was person works at the office, and they come knocking on me, talking about how is your toilet overflowing? And I'm like, no, it's been running all day, but it's not overflowing. And I used it multiple times. I peed in it multiple times when I flushed it, and it went down. It never overflowed. But I was telling her that the chain to lift the little lid up to let the water go down so I could flush it it was holding that little thing up the whole time, so the waters kept endlessly flowing. And, you know, I didn't give a fuck because I'm not paying the water bill. So um so we go look at the bathroom. I go into the bathroom. Like, I used the bathroom like 30 minutes ago, took a dump. Nothing happened, no sign of anything bad happening. And we go in there though when she's finally here. They walk into my messy room because I just moved in. I didn't like finish unpacking everything, so it's a big fucking mess. And she thinks I've been living here for 6 months, so she thinks I'm just a fucking slob who fucking overflows the bathroom, the fucking toilet with my big old dumps. And that's not me, man. That's not who I am. I keep my room pretty neat. It's just that I was so tired from bringing all this furniture in here that I just want to take a break and played another 6 hours of Civilization 5. God damn it. So when their toilet overflows, it's not like there's no junk on the ground or anything. It's just water, thankfully. And I don't know what happened. Toilet never overflowed or anything. I know that for a fact. So I don't know where it's coming from. So I'm like, fuck. What the fuck? How I'm gonna deal with this? But I kind of have the same with anything from like a minor inconvenience to like a near catastrophe. Like a minor convenience, like, oh, I slightly tripped. I didn't fall down, by like I slightly tripped on the pavement, and like the neighbor across the street saw. To my mom can't pay her taxes, so I can't get financial aid, and I couldn't go to school for a year. I had like the same reaction to that. It's just like, all right. So basically did that, and they said, come on down to the office, bring your ID so you can use the mop. And I never understood, like, whenever you use something from the office, they hold your ID hostage as if I want to take your fucking wet mop. The mop was already wet and smelled like piss when I got it. So why am I never got the point of a mop. All it does is make stuff wet. I'd much rather use this. I mean, I feel like you would use a towel, maybe. I guess the mop is good for like sopping up the water, but it's not, definitely can't be good for cleaning. That can't be hygienic in any way. Like, that's still like, I mean, I guess it's just good that it was just tank water, so it's just basically clean water, but still. It smelled, actually, my bathroom smelled worse after using it. It smelled like piss. Anyways, so I'm coming back, and you know, it's dark outside or whatever. So I'm walking through the apartment complex with a mop at 7:10 or 7:15 at night. I'm coming back, you know, mop the stuff up. I never really mopped before because I think it's a dumb practice. So I do all that. I was thinking how, like, what the fuck? I didn't get my shit together. Like, this is like such a bad situation. And really, that's only, you think that wouldn't bode well, my first day being in these apartments and something like that happens. But that's really just been the last thing. It's been multiple things. I realized at some point today that there's only a light in the kitchen part. There's no light in the rest of the apartment. Like, it's basically just like a one room with a kitchen. Like, it's a kitchen area and it's one room. There's no like doors separating anything or really any walls separating anything. The only door is like the door into the bathroom, and that has its own light, of course. But this one, like, what is it? This one like light, I don't know what it's called, like the light they had in those classrooms back in the day, like the tube, long vertical, like tubes, like the type of stuff they use in the, like, those dumb extreme hardcore matches back in the day, the fluorescent tubes. That anyways, but that's basically supposed to be lighting this whole place. So during the night, I'm like in a half dim room, which I don't have that much problem. What if I have people over? And that's just like, it's just a small thing that it shouldn't be like that. There should be a light on the counteract the. I just don't understand. It's a very odd design. But also another thing, sitting on a toilet, it was way too small. It's like I was sitting on like one of those toilets that they give little kids, like those training pods. Like, I was sitting on that, It was so small. It's not because I'm big. That was a big person, but it's because it's like definitely it's probably like half the size. Like it's so small. I thought I was gonna miss taking a dump. Like I thought I was gonna like miss my shot to try to take a dump. It was so small. But what else was wrong with here? Oh, like 4 of the 5 outlets are broken. They don't work. That's cool. Which is annoying. And first thing I noticed though is that signing up for this, I looked up the internet access for the school, and they said, oh yeah, we got the internet access, we got the guests, we have the residential. Yeah, you can get the internet access from any part on campus, this dorm, and the dorms Marc are moving into. So if you're in the dorms that Marc is moving into, there's going to be internet. You don't have to pay for your own. You don't have to do a little dumb hotspot on your phone. You don't have to get Cox. You don't have to get a cheap ass AT&T of 5 kilobytes per second. Kilobits. So I was assuming I didn't have to do any of that shit. I'm like, okay, one thing I don't have to worry about. Which, okay, fine, cool, good perk. I come in and I'm like, I open my computer. Which one of these are the UNO ones? I try to look it up on my phone. That had 4%. I go open the PDF on their website talking about how to hook up to the internet. It doesn't work. It turns out the internet's not for this place. The internet's for on campus. So technically this is not on campus. Because every piece of paperwork I fill out, it says, what school do you go to? I'm like, I go to the one like right there. Like you're right next to the school. It's not even a block away. Like we're on the same campus. Of course I go to this cocksucking school. Anyways. So yeah, I had to think of a way how I'm gonna get internet in here, because I really don't need the internet on my computer besides the fact I need to upload videos. Like I couldn't upload this or get pictures for like Photoshop stuff. Like downloading pictures and uploading videos, like the really 2 vital things I need off my computer. Of course, like getting Bing points, I guess, is pretty vital. But I could check my emails on my phone. I watch most of YouTube on my phone. I do most of my internet browsing. Most of my internet browsing could be done on my phone pretty easily. But it's just inconvenient. I couldn't do those 2 things, and also I couldn't do a third pretty important thing. So I want UWL to come back. I need to use the internet on my Xbox One to download some stuff, and I couldn't do that. So I have my hotspot on my phone. Technically, I don't know if it's called a hotspot. I think it's tethering. So I plugged my phone into the computer, and used like the 4G, I guess, off that to kind of like download. But it took a shit ton of my data up, of course. So I don't know why I did that now I think about it, because again, I could listen to stuff on my phone, listen to podcasts and stuff on my phone. I didn't need to do that, but I did use it to browse the net and do some vital things on there, because it's like easier to do. But and my charging cord to connect my phone to the computer is like 3 inches, like it's like fucking smaller than a penis, and I can't, like it could just fall off at any point. Like it's very, like since it's short, any like hard jerking movement will like it'll yank it out the computer pretty much, So, but I don't know. It's pretty fucked. So moving into the apartment, I'm starting off with a negative note. It's a nice space, it was bigger than I expected to be. You could fit a sofa in here, table, everything. It's bigger than the room I had at home. And it's pretty good layout, I would say. But also, to get into the room, you have like this little, like, I don't even know what it's called. I want to call it a gladio, but that's not what it's called. Some G word. But it's like this little metal, it's this blue stick with a metal circle on like on a part of it. You put the metal circle onto like this little sensor on the door, and when it lights up red or green, I can't tell which one, you unlock the door and you open it. And, it's pretty, like, I don't know, it seems pretty expensive, pretty, like, what's it called? I don't know, highfalutin. Like, it seems extra. Why can't you just give me a key, right? Seems pretty simple. Just put a key in there and unlock it. But it couldn't be that easy, of course. So at first, I try to do it. Then mother tries to do it. Another person tries to do it. Doesn't work out. Have to go down. Turn out the thing is broken. So I had to fix it and all this stuff. So eventually we get to work and I open the door up, and it didn't really make sense to me. You open the door with the thing, and it's pretty fancy, and you come into that room, and the room looks pretty nice. But you go into the kitchen, you juxtapose that sensor thing with the oven, stove, and the dishwasher. Look like they're ripped out of a fucking 1980s house. Like, it's not. These are very old things. Like, it reminds me. And when I was like, this is like worse than, I mean, I know most people are not going to get this, but when I lived in the Willows, very bad apartments in New Orleans East. But it's just, Jesus Christ. I turn on the oven and it's smoking and nothing's in there. That was a pretty bad sign. And it wouldn't get hot. I don't know. It's just not, it's very odd to me. Everything like on paper the stuff is there, but it's all off a little bit, and I gotta make it work. Because this was really meant to be like a mental health investment, because living with another person in that small dorm was very stressful. I'm not saying the person was bad to live with. He was fine to live with, but just living with any person in a small space, not ever having privacy, I think is bad. It's good to have privacy. I feel at some point you gotta have a place where you feel like you could be alone and can decompress and not have to worry about anyone at some point. I was either in that room, or I was around the campus fooling around, or I was in the class filled with people. But there's never not a time where I was actually alone for an extended period of time, which is very annoying to me, because I can never, I'm a different person when I'm alone. I'm more relaxed. I don't have to think about stuff. I like, some people talk to people or conversate or have fun with people. I deal with people. And when that's your way of interacting with folk and you're constantly surrounded by folk, that's a stressful situation. Like the same way you might deal with a rowdy animal is how I deal with people, even though, people, I don't have, I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying I'm in the right. I'm just saying this is the mindset I'm in throughout, decades of neglect and abuse. Honestly, society has abused me. Anyways, and then I live with my mother, my sister. That was no good. And I'm like, I have to move out. I can't live with anyone right now. Or not, I don't mind not living with someone that I knew and I liked. I guess maybe that's the crux of it. I don't like anyone. I don't like anyone I have to deal with consistently. So maybe that's the problem. Oh, God. Dying over here. Sorry about that. I got hiccups off of talking. I don't know. Are my words just steeped with, I don't know, just such a caloric density that now my just talking is giving me hiccups. But I think they're gone now. Anyways, so I wanted to get off that. I'm back doing my thing. One thing I was kind of batting around when I was walking around today is that I have an urge now that I'm alone, my own place. I can record anytime, as I've been saying before, and I was just thinking about recording some more casual, more casual gameplays. So I was really thinking about doing San Andreas and Super Mario Bros. 3, but I don't really want to dilute the channel with that because, GTA is a very long game, and I just have other stuff I want to do on the channel. I want to do M.A.D.House and UWL, really, and those things are going to be pretty time consuming, in my opinion, to kind of produce. Well, at least UWL will be. M.A.D.House, just talking to a mic and, just putting some ideas out, just exchange of ideas, But building up till March, where I'll be doing the Pokemon Gold and Silver playthrough, and that's really the dichotomy that I want, is that I do walkthroughs about games that I love, passionate, I know like the back of my hand. Those things are how I express like my appreciation for them, really. Whereas, not to say that I don't like GTA San Andreas, or I don't have a lot of emotional feelings about Super Mario Bros. 3, because I do. Like, Super Mario Bros. 3 was one of the first Mario games I ever played, and it might have been the first one, actually. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart, but I never planned on doing a walkthrough of it anytime soon. I'm really just doing Pokemon, Sonic, and the Mother series, kind of vacillating between those things. So I was thinking about starting a separate gameplay channel that is a little bit more high volume, not as prepared. Still should be entertaining because I'm playing a game. If you like me, you will like me playing those games, and it should be better. No. It's not gonna be. I don't know if it should be better, but I'm saying it should be better than kind of how I did Super Mario Galaxy. It should be better than that, because Super Mario Galaxy, I had like the pretense of me giving you a walkthrough, but at the same time, I didn't go through that amount of preparation. My memory wasn't that good, and I gave myself the expectation of I need to tell you every single thing about this game, because I do love that game, but I'm not an expert on it, right? I feel like I need to be an expert on it. Whereas with Pokemon Red and Blue, I was an expert on it, so I think that aspect of that walkthrough went well, right? And that's that's what I really want to do. I want to be an expert in the game and present it in a visually pleasing way, and of course delivering that information to you, and also in a way that's pleasing. That's entertaining in some way, or at least orally pleasing as well. But when it comes to this other channel I want to do, it'll just be a raw gameplay and my raw experience with it, giving opinions and stuff as I go through, and talking about stuff, like your average gameplay commentary channel type stuff. And it'll give me more time to give some more of my personal. I don't really go into my opinions that much compared to other Let's Play channels, or the ones that I watch. They kind of give a lot of opinions as they go on, where I give a lot of facts and clips along the way, I guess. But just think of it as a long review is these gameplay videos, right? I just don't want them on the channel. I don't have a name for the channel quite yet, or even a channel built. Well, I do have a channel built. Back in the day, like 2 years ago, I made a channel called Just Gameplay, and I never uploaded a single video there because I never knew what I wanted to do for it. Well, I knew what I wanted to do, but I never knew what game I wanted to do in particular. So I never got down to actually recording anything. But Just Gameplay was meant to be just no commentary, just uploading gameplay, and just it being just the gameplay. People could maybe will get some traction, and it'll just be a place where you just want to watch some gameplay. You want to see a guy in GTA with the invincibility mode on, changing the weather to a thunderstorm, going around shooting unlimited RPGs, So, and you could use that footage as B-roll in one of your videos. Like that was kind of like the thing that I want to do, just uploading gameplay and have like footage for people to use, that they didn't really have to cite or anything, and they don't have to like splice out my commentary as well. But what else? So I'm just gonna change the name change the name of that channel probably, because just gameplay is not gonna work. It's got commentary as well. Come on now. So yeah, that's that. No updates on anything else around the channel. So I want to talk about this idea that I was hearing. It's the other thing I really want to talk about today. Was I was listening to a podcast, called Trap House, political podcast. It's has some great episodes, frankly. And sometimes it's just like it's really resonating with me. And I listened to this last episode. I forget what it was called. I think it was called No War, unless there would be no war except the meme war, or something like that. I don't know. I forgot what the title was. But like 53 minutes in, a guy named Felix started to talk about this book. This guy named, I think his name Carl Nausgaard, and he was talking like it's this long ass book, first person like essay style, and it's just all this minutia about his life, describing everything in his life in painstaking detail. And Felix was talking about is how that idea, like the idea of you getting something from that, like from all that minutia, is ridiculous on its face, but that's not really what the book is supposed to mean as art. It is meant to tell you that doing this is meaningless, describing my life is meaningless, and assuming any value from it is also meaningless and a waste of your time, which is kind of like, he said, it's not era defining, but it defined the era, if that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't, because it's just the exact same thing but flip. But you get what he's saying, is that it spoke to how so many essays were written that first person style, just meaningless, just worthless writing, honestly. And and he went on to say how art has made, I don't know when it started, but art has made such a big deal about making a commentary about some aspect of society at large, or some part of political structure or economy, and it never really ends up being anything within itself, or building a character that is relatable, or building not even like world building, because there's a lot of stuff, but like showing the progress of one character, of really going on that one character. And that's not really what I want to talk about in terms of that, but what the idea is that what really resonated with me is the need to make everything important, more important than what it really should be presented as. And with movies, someone else on the podcast mentioned like there was movies that was like meant to be about strippers doing hijinks, but they also had like a little commentary about like aspects of Wall Street during 2008 or whatever. I don't want to just come off and rehash the whole podcast. I'll put a link to it in the description, the timestamp. But I just feel like it's it's important to integrate that in. I just want to raw dog my opinions. I just want to give you context before I start talking about it. But so what my thing is, it resonated with me, even though I'm not a big movie guy. I don't read anything that isn't like historical or political or anything like that. I only read those types of books. I don't read essays. I don't read first person like takes on interactions or culture stuff. It doesn't really, I feel like that's worthless. Like, I always, not worthless in terms that I don't know. It's just like some things I innately just say, oh, this is useless to me. I decided that very early on some things are just not worth my time, which is odd because I waste my time on certain things, but I could tell you probably why. Like I have 2,000 hours in Civ 5. It's because I really enjoyed the game, or at least the idea of building a civilization through time, and like building seeing that vision through what you want your civilization to be. Let's see, but let's go back to the idea though of a piece of art wanting to be bigger, that strives to make its subject bigger than it nearly needs to be. And it resonated with me in that with wrestling and sports in general, but also with what was the other thing? I forgot, but I know the things that I like, that I consume. Like I like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I kind of got rid of me watching WWE. And this would kind of like, glaze you roll your eyes to any of this if you don't watch these things. But I always felt like WWE at almost every moment, excluding like Chris Benoit stuff or stuff that involved wrestlers that went to other companies, they would try to shoehorn historically irrelevant facts that technically were history breaking, but it always tried to make things seem bigger than they were, or try to manufacture some dumb pay-per-view shriek that doesn't matter because half the matches were tag matches or whatever. Like they tried to constantly manufacture things that were abstractions and were bigger than what was necessary and what was important to what was happening in the ring. Like it doesn't matter what happened really before or after, especially if those things were not coherently tied naturally into the match, but also the stakes of the match and the skills of the two competitors speak for themselves, and really sets the stage for itself for the most part. Obviously, characters have history, but with each other, but WWE never builds characters. Definitely not characters within themselves coherently, but even more so with characters' relationship with each other over time. I mean, there's obviously exceptions in the modern era, but you could tell me what those examples are, because I can't think of any. And I juxtapose that with New Japan Pro Wrestling, where part of it is language barrier. I don't listen to the English commentary because I feel like that is wrong. I should listen to the Japanese commentary, even though I don't understand Japanese. I could feel what those commentators are 100% in tune with what's going on. So the emotion that they're giving throughout their voice is going to, that's the emotion that I should be feeling in the moment. Or I should be, I know what they're responding to and how they're responding to and how they're talking. And that's an aspect of enjoying the match. Not to say I'm copying every single feeling that they have, but it's a part of the experience. It's like watching wrestling matches with Jim Ross as a commentator is, objectively different, and, I think subjectively better than watching a wrestling match with, Michael Cole. But that's, personal taste. But anyways, so you juxtapose that with New Japan, who, at least in the modern era, I don't really know anything about before 2012, but it always seems to me that the wrestlers and the grueling path they took to get to where they were, or the lack thereof, or a lack of a grueling path to get to where they were, to get to that moment of that big match, or whatever their big match is, it's always self-evident. It is obvious. It's not immediately, again, benefit of not speaking Japanese, but it's not immediately trying to be connected to any bigger historical thing. Now, I'm not saying they never do that, because sometimes it is legitimately necessary to do that. For, Okada beating the title defense record, of Tanahashi, that is a big deal. Like, that is a extremely big deal. But John Cena winning, that's a bad example now I think of John Cena winning the 16 titles. They didn't really hype that up too much, actually, now I think about it. But anyways, or some dumb shriek that somebody has. Like, there really hasn't been anything impressive in WWE in terms of like massive, like history, like something that will go down in history books is actually impressive besides Undertaker's shriek, and maybe John Cena's all those title reigns, but I don't really know. Well, my point is that I enjoy New Japan because not only the wrestling is better, but it's all grounded within the wrestling. There's not promos to make. There's not like promos in the WWE context where you go out and you talk in a really contrived way and you try to make that contrived circumstance natural in order to make the match that you're going to inevitably have that everyone knows is coming bigger. But we know it's coming and we're going to watch it anyway because we're fans or whatever. And, you know, I just don't, I don't know, I do think using an abstraction such as a contrived promo can sell a match. But most of the time they do not for the fact that they're not better than the circumstances they're given. But having a promo after you won a match, it could be just an alright promo, but if it shows some sort of character, it will make the people more engaged, and it's not like super contrived. And this is another example, NFL. I also saw this with tennis over the summer. I don't know what tennis tournament was. I don't know, Wimbledon, PGA Open, South Africa, whatever tournament. I don't know what it was, but before the people went in for the match, they interviewed him like in the tunnel, I think. And they also did some Monday Night Football. I think they interviewed Daniel Jones in the tunnel once before he was coming out. I think so. And it's odd. It seemed very contrived. It seemed very stupid and unnecessary because what the fuck are they gonna say? I'm in my game mindset right now. I'm about to turn to the fucking beast that's gonna, you know, do whatever. Throw balls, hit a guy, crack a guy's head open, whatever players do, you know? And what do you think they're gonna say? They barely say anything after the game. What are you gonna think they say when they're in that mode, when they're trying to become, you know, this focused animal, when they gotta deal with your ass in the fucking tunnel? I don't get it. And that makes the product, to some extent, worse. It doesn't matter what the person says because the circumstances contrive. It's trying to make it seem bigger than what it is. And it's fucking football. You can't make it much bigger. And also, I don't watch football with commentary anymore because of all the commentary really doesn't add much, but also, it's not as bad as like a WWE product, but the deluge of different types of facts and historical context that is completely unnecessary, and it's so much part of use the word discourse. I don't really care. I don't care if Lamar Jackson broke Michael Vick's record. I know that he's doing great. That he plays great. He's fucking awesome. I don't need to be hammered over the head that, you know, at week 9, he's tracking to break his record. I don't give. It's week 9. Who cares? It's week 9. Is he gonna break the record? I don't know. We'll find out in week 16. And we did. He did break the record. You don't have to I don't know. And I used to have Sports Center on in the background, not the volume up. Of course, the volume down. But I know what they're talking about because I always have the graphics of what they're talking about, and it's stuff like that. It's constantly if it's in between the first third and like towards the end of the second third, like in that middle third. I should have said the middle third. In the middle third of a season, football season, they do this even sooner in the basketball season because, you know, it's long as fuck and there's nothing to talk about because You know the top 4 teams are after like 20 games. You don't really need to play 82. But we'll get to NBA after this. So in the NFL, the presentation of the game itself and its discourse, I feel like the shows like Get Up, First Take, I mean definitely like First Take and what's the other one, Skip and Shannon, do this a lot. I don't watch Skip and Shannon as much, but I know fucking Skip because I watched First Take back in the day. And I don't watch it anymore. I have it in the background silent. I might look up at the TV every once in a while and see Max Kellerman's dumbass face, knowing he's making a bad point. But I just feel like I know that they constantly have to make things bigger than they seem, hype all these players up. But at the same time, which is so annoying, which almost every thing that tries to be bigger than what it has to be or blow certain aspects of the product out of proportion in WWE, NFL, movies, in any product that is focusing on one subject, be it a sport, be it a movie about strippers, be it a movie about this one guy dealing with his family during this tough time. It all, like, if it's that focused on the subject, it does not need to make a very ham-fisted commentary on something that is bigger, or try to give us some bigger historical context that something happened before. But also, what they fail to do is to actually, they don't even do it correctly. If you want to do it, you could hype players up in the case of the NFL or the WWE. You could hype your characters up, and you don't have to. You can make it natural. You can give the historical context by making it an actual historical fucking moment. I know NFL can't rig stuff, but you can't appreciate something being truly transcendent before you have to have a deluge, a constant stream of just okay, of just good, of just below average, and be perfectly fine with it until someone comes along and someone's fucking awesome and or unique that we haven't seen in a while, like Lamar Jackson, like there's so many wrestlers on WWE's roster that are really good and unique, or an Okada character, or a Tanahashi, or a Naito to a lesser extent, to Kenny Omega, or in what the fuck was the thing I was gonna, but like you can make, or Napoleon as well. There's always been military generals, military warlords, but we all understand Napoleon was one of the better ones. Like, he may not be the best one all the time, but he's top 10. We can't appreciate that without the context of having all these military generals and warlords come before him thousands and thousands of years, and just being okay, maybe winning a couple battles for their country, for their state or whatever, for their fiefdom or whatever, and being okay. They won barely. Some people lost barely. Some people lost horribly and got killed in the middle of battle, or had brave charges up a hill as one final stand that was bold and valiant. We understand all that historical context, and we come out saying, oh, Napoleon just was fucking dominant for like 50-something battles, even though in all those battles he wasn't really necessarily adding a numerical advantage. He was constantly taking on coalitions of armies that really didn't coordinate well and really did not prepare well for what's happening. And with that historical context and all that military historical context, we can appreciate his greatness, right? I can appreciate Okada's greatness because he is fucking great. I mean, he had it's to my list. I have like the list of top 10, in my opinion, the top 10 greatest matches I've ever seen. He has like Omega, Shibata. I think he has 4 of the top 5 best matches I've ever seen. He had 3 Omega matches for the title, and he had the Shibata match for the title. And number 5, I think, was Omega Naito was the 5th one, if you're if you're curious. Go watch all those matches if you haven't seen them, because they're great. They're hooting, hollering time. But it takes a long time. Like, those matches are like 40 minutes to 80 minutes. So, take a little chunk of your day to go watch those, folks. But to really get back to my point, and I don't know, I felt like I really had to talk about that because it really underlines my lack of media consumption. I don't really watch any TV shows. The only TV shows that I watch, quote unquote TV shows, is The Sopranos on Amazon Prime. I'm on season 5 now. Like, I want to watch stuff that is generally conceived as something that is great, transcendent, in some way, that is worth your time. It's not just okay. It's worth your time, basically. I don't want to waste my time watching stuff that's just okay. It's just good. Because I kind of feel, and this is really happened to me with wrestling, happened with sports, of course, and I kind of hinted at it before, is a discourse around it. And whereas on the podcast they're talking about the art itself makes itself, it aspires to be something bigger, to make a commentary on something bigger, even though the subject matter does not warrant it, and it's jarring because of that. And the art is lesser, and it's so prevalent that all modern art, a large percentage of modern art it sucks because it's lesser, because it's constantly trying to be a commentary on something bigger, even though that's not the subject matter. And I felt that, with wrestling, and it sucked watching all these YouTube channels and like them just misanalyzing and kind of like not knowing where things are going. I mean, I guess I just had to listen to smarter YouTubers, but I don't know. It's that dichotomy with me has always been like the conversation around it has never really fit what my perception of what the art was, what the product was. And my perception of the product might not even be matching up with what the product is in reality, Like, again, I can't understand Japanese commentary. The guy could literally be saying anything. This match could literally be about, like, the G1 briefcase could not only be a contract in there, the main event, Wrestle Kingdom, but it can also be like a lifetime supply of macaroni and cheese on there as well. And, that changes my perception of what we're really fighting for. What we're fighting 11 grueling ass matches for. I don't know. Maybe that came off as incoherent, and I definitely don't want to come off as contrived, but I just thought that really like stuck with me, in that never try to make things bigger than they have to be. Connect A to B, not A to Z, unless in some very special cases. And I don't know, maybe this is like esoteric in a way that no one else really feels this, but it's the same reason I don't watch that many movies, same reason I don't listen to a lot of pop culture. I don't watch a lot of pop culture videos, or listen to a lot of commentary channels, things that are review channels that review anything besides video games, because I feel like there's a lot of really good video game reviewers that get it. That's why I'm not on Twitter, not on Facebook. It's just being on Facebook and seeing people talk about politics makes my fucking heart sink. Being on Twitter and seeing who has all the followers, who has a lot of followers, makes your fucking brain melt. And I don't see it as much as anymore, because I don't go on those websites. Sometimes I go on Facebook by complete morbid curiosity of what my Facebook feed is looking like. But most of the time it's on my YouTube recommended, And every once in a while, I get recommended a PewDiePie video. And it's like some of the videos are very similar to, I'm not saying he's copying anything, but the videos, I'm just saying, don't seem anything special. And maybe I'm just describing, like, I'm describing both my alienation and my resentment because of it. But I can't lie and say that I enjoy any of this, that I enjoy most of what is being produced in any way. Not to say I'm consuming all of it, but it's really just, I don't know, like, things have been so integral to other people's lives, like social media, not counting YouTube, like the consumption of TV shows or shows on subscription services. I do that, but I do that for Japanese wrestling. Like New Japan World, I think maybe have 20,000 American subscribers. Like, it's not that big of a deal, in America, at least. Like, I don't know. I don't do any of these things because I find them rather vapid. I don't mean that in any pretentious way. Obviously, you're gonna say something that is like, oh, I watched this, it's pretty substantive. I watched Rick and Morty and it's pretty smart. I'm not judging you. I'm not saying that like, what you get out of it is obviously different from me. Like, what I want, like, for example, I'm looking at my bookshelf. I have both 24 Pokemon Adventures manga. I have 3 box sets of Pokemon Adventures manga on my bookshelf. But I have that right next to a Vladimir Lenin 130-page essay and 1905 by Leon Trotsky, talking about the 1905 failed revolution, right? And those two things provide me with some, like, those are two substantive experiences for me. Pokemon captures my imagination in a way maybe some other piece of media maybe capture your imagination, but doesn't for me. Like, people like My Little Pony, right? But I would never watch it again. I don't get it. I don't even judge people who like this. I don't judge that in the same way I'm talking about other stuff, but I just, it popped in my head for some reason. In 1905, and like these book by communist writers giving these account of these very important events, it fills the gap of like wanting to know what has happened before me, what's the potential of humanity, what is humanity, and just trying to understand it all, what really happened, what really is important. And a good piece of art really grinds that down into what really is important about the subject at hand. How do you develop that story? How do you flesh it out? How do you make people remember what is being told? And can you, like, if that's the test, if this piece of art was really worth your time, maybe it's not a good one, but it's one that I kind of ask myself. And so far I really like the things that I've been experiencing. I keep getting more and more enjoyment out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I get more and more enjoyment out of reading these historical books. I am filled with a childlike glee reading Pokemon Adventures. To a lesser extent, I enjoy watching football every Sunday and sometimes Monday and rarely Thursday. And to bring it to the NBA, something like that was the sport that I always watched between the years like 2012 to, I would say, 2015, 2016, something like that. To until basically LeBron won a title for Cleveland. It's basically that block of time where I was really a fan. really watching consistently. And I don't know why it took me that long to realize this. I probably realized before, but watched games kind of casually, went to a couple of games. I enjoyed the product, but 82 games is fucking ridiculous. There is nothing to be learned from after. There's nothing valuable of, I say, 50 of those games. I think every team should play. I don't know, play every team. You could play every game twice. You play every team twice, so that'd be 48. 48 games, that's fine. That's a big cut down. I'm fine with 48 game season. That's fine. But you say, well, what's your criticism? How you connect that the season length with your previous statements? Well, it's this: when the season is longer, another contrived circumstance to put in this case, the player and the viewer, they're both being in a bad circumstance and they're both being hurt by it. Players get hurt more because the season is longer. I mean, it's always been 82 for like ever, for like decades and decades, but players get injured more often the longer the season is. Players get, teams that we're excited to watch in the playoffs might not do as well, or just not make it to the playoffs if they're like a 6th seed and they lose somebody like Anthony Davis, back in the day, and fans will be disappointed by that. And obviously the reverse of that, some teams get in that normally wouldn't have because somebody important got injured midway through the season, and their fans would be happy. But it adds a morbid volatility to the game. Well, there's always going to be the risk of injury in any sport, no matter how short the season is. You could dunk the basketball and land and both your knees explode and your Achilles snaps and you shit yourself and you're embarrassed for the rest of your life. That could happen anytime, But it makes the viewing experience worse because it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why 82? You're drawing it out for no reason. We know who the best teams are after like 25 games. So, and then the media is also people who have to cover it also put in a bad situation because they have to make it seem like any one of these games are actually important. And there almost never are. Like, no one game is important. Not even, I would say, a block of 5 games are important. Unless you're, like, towards the end of the season. I guess you could say, in the last 15, you want that good seeding. But it doesn't even matter to that extent, I don't think. But I think that's enough about the tangent. I think you kind of get where I'm coming from. And hopefully understand. Maybe I'll talk about it again at another time. I know maybe this podcast hasn't come off as super coherent or at least tied together or especially important to you if you've made it this far. I hope you got something out of it, but I just had to express myself a little bit because I was feeling a little bit lonely, mad, anxious, and I needed someone to talk to real quick. So I got some stuff to clean up. I continue unpacking, and it's time to start a new semester and really get this new year of really dedicating myself to cranking out content. Time to get that going. So thank you so much for listening, and come back next week or for next M.A.D.House. I think it'll be episode 5, and also next week on Friday will be episode 6, the bonus episode exclusive to the Patreon subscribers. So thank you so much, and talk to you another time.